Shador got drafted to the Cleveland Browns. Terrible organization. Head coach and the GM looked like they didn't want you on draft day. It looked like the owner said, "Hold up, Shador still we." So you mean I wasted all my money for y'all to take private jets and private planes out to Colorado to do what? And then we're not gonna pick him, and he's down at the 5th round, so we're not gonna do what? The owner came down to the war room, the draft war room, and he said, sat right in between both of y'all. He said, y'all gonna go draft Shador Sanders, and I'm gonna sit down right here. We gonna be happy together. We gonna smile together. Y'all are gonna go draft him right now. The owner came down and took his belt out and started whipping niggas and said, y'all better go draft Shador right now. You should have seen their faces. You should have seen their faces. All right, let's look. Let's see. We got. And this is their face. Hold up. This is their faces on draft night when having to draft Shador Sanders. Do they look happy? Do they look like they just drafted a contributing player, athlete to their locker room? Do they look happy? They don't. So they obviously were forced to pick him. And again, I understand all sides. The head coach didn't want to pick him because you just don't think you're ready. You don't show the attributes of a starting NFL quarterback. Also, he didn't want to pick you because, hey, you've been coached by your father all this time. How will you react when you're coached by someone else besides your father? Kevin Stefanski did not want to pick Shador because we know your daddy your daddy in the bushes waiting. We know your daddy in the cut waiting. Stop playing. Before the draft, we knew Dion was in the cut. All it takes is about 2 years, 3 years. And then the GM, if they fire Stefanski and bring in a new coach, the owner is going to listen to that new coach over listening to the GM who's been here all the time and been losing. So I understand the approach that every NFL team took when it came to Shador Sanders, because now would I have taken Shador Sanders if I believed that he was a top quarterback? Yes. I don't give a fuck who your daddy is. We gonna draft you and we gonna win games. And if not win games, then it is what it is. Like, these dudes out here trying to save their own ass. It's like, nah, if you some shit, you some shit now. But I like Steven Stefanski. Stefanski's a good guy. You know, he comes from that Shanahan tree. So he knows how to call an offense, which I appreciate. Because a lot of these coordinators don't run the football anymore. Like, really don't help their quarterback. So, when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, man, it's a big tug of war. Nobody is ultimately right until he gets on the football field. No one's wrong until he gets on the football field. The only thing that I would say for Shedeur Sanders to watch is watch your step. Watch your step, Shedeur Sanders, because you don't want to rush the process faster than what it needs to be. If this is your time to develop, then develop. And make sure when you step on that football field, there's no chinks in your armor for someone to talk bad about you or write bad about you. So what it comes down to is, Shedeur Sanders, are you going to hit that field running, or are you going to hit that field and fall in the quicksand right away? That's what it comes down to. Because at this point, the Shedeur Sanders lovers are building him up so high that if he doesn't perform to proper expectations, that fall from grace is going to hurt. So I would say, Shedeur Sanders, tread lightly. Don't listen to everyone in the media. Sometimes you got to trick yourself out, because you may be thinking more than what you need to be thinking. You may think you're better than what you currently are. Keep working, bro. You signed you signed a contract. They probably got you for 3 years, Slim. I highly doubt that Shedeur would be playing to a level to where they would franchise tag him after 3 years. This is what makes the Browns the dumbest organization in the NFL. Because with all that being said, I do believe Shedeur Sanders can be developed into a top tier quarterback in the NFL. But what it's going to take is going to take an offense like Kevin Stefanski's offense. It's going to take an organization that can mold and produce and develop talent, young talent. That's not Cleveland. It's going to take a GM that knows how to wheel and deal. Barry know what he doing. He be doing an all right job. But after 3 years, Shedeur Sanders, he gone. Damn. That's what makes the Browns the dumbest, because everything is setting up for Shedeur Sanders to take the entire league by storm. Damn. Everything is setting up because the Shedeur Sanders supporters is like they're boiling right now. And you know what I'm saying? And once he starts and does well, the pot gonna boil over and he's gonna be the new sensation of the NFL. But you know what's gonna happen? Because you picked him in the 3rd round and you chose not to develop him properly. Develop him properly means picking him in the 1st round so that you have that extra year, that 5th year option for your rookie. You could keep him an extra year just in case you develop him the right way. You do that. You keep him, you draft him in the 1st round and you lock him down for 5 years and you develop him at quarterback. You possibly bring in a better quarterback than Flacco, but you develop him at quarterback so that in the 3rd year, he's good to go. There should be no chinks in the armor. There should be no questions at that moment about what we have at quarterback. And then his performance will speak for itself at that moment. But what we have done here, or what the Cleveland Browns have done, is create create an underbelly of just anticipation for Shedeur Sanders at an all-time high. So if Shedeur Sanders does what he's supposed to do, and he go out there and ball when he gets the chance to play, and he becomes the sensation of the league, and in 2 more years, he gone. Damn.